Hello dear viewer, I welcome you to this lesson. We are going to discuss primary 4 work, and we are going to have our work picked from page 76 of our workbooks for us who have the workbooks. Page 76 gives us the heading as it is on the board, that is about the population in our district. Here we are going to begin by looking at the meaning of population. Then we shall go on looking at other terms which are related, which are connected to population, and we shall be discussing other more things in this very lesson. What we are going to begin saying is population. We can simply define it as the total number of people living in an area. Population is the total number of people living in an area or in a country, but for the sake of us in the district, we are saying in an area. So we can say population is the total number of people living in an area, the total. And then we are also meant to understand that the study about population changes is what we term as demography. So we have it saying demography refers to the study of population changes. Of course, we need to note that the number of people in an area keeps on varying, keeps on changing. So the study of population changes is, or you can simply say the study of populations is what we term as demography. Now, we have other terms that I have said which are related to population. We shall be going through those terms related to population. We shall be going through those terms that we are having in our workbook. The terms there, one, we have what we call population distribution. Population distribution refers to how people are spread in different parts of an area. Population distribution. Population distribution refers to how people are spread. Sometimes we can say how people are scattered in different parts of an area. You will find that some people are very many in an area, some people are few in an area. We shall be looking at what brings that. And then we have what we call population structure. Population structure, we are looking at the composition of people, or we can simply say the number of people living in an area according to their gender. Population structure. The number of people living in an area according to their gender or according to their sex. Sex or gender. Here we simply mean how many are females and how many are males. That is what we mean by gender, or the sex of a person. Person can be a male or a female one. So when we talk of population structure, we are looking at the composition of people or the number of people in an area according to their gender or according to that sex, that is female and male. And then we have what we call population explosion. That is our third term, that we have population explosion. Now, population explosion, from the word explode, which means from nowhere, the number shoots high, which means we can simply say population explosion is the sudden increase in the number of people living in an area. Or sometimes we can say it's the rapid increase We can call it rapid, or we can simply say a sudden increase in the number of people living in an area. Of course, we need to note what has brought this rapid increase, what has brought this sudden increase from nowhere. The number of people has gone too high. So there we shall be looking at things like maybe people were chased, therefore they have come to that area. Those are the ones we call refugees. Maybe that area has got very good social services. People are pouring there to benefit or to enjoy those social services. Maybe the area has got a lot of jobs. People are pouring there. The area has got fertile soil. People have come to grow their crops. Very many factors bringing that. Then we have got what we call overpopulation. Overpopulation, we are simply saying here we are looking at now the resources which are available in that area versus the resources and the people. So if the resources to be utilized by the people are few, it means the number of people has become more. So it brings what we call overpopulation. The number of people is more than the resources available. Overpopulation. Here we are saying this is when the number of people is more than, we can say this is when people are more than the resources available in that area. Then we can have its opposite, which can be overpopulation. Here we can have underpopulation. We can have underpopulation. Here it will be the opposite of this. Underpopulation means the number of people is low compared to the resources which are available. We just get the opposite of the other. And then when the two are the same, it brings what we call optimum population. Optimum population. Now, optimum population, we are now saying this is when the number of people living in an area is equal to the resources available. I believe we are getting this. We had overpopulation, we are saying people are more than the resources available. Underpopulation, people are few compared to the resources available. And then now optimum population, this is when the number of people is equal to the resources available. Meaning the people are the same as the resources, optimum population. And then we have also two common terms. We have dense population, which means having many people in an area. We are not comparing it with the resources as we had here. That is what brings the difference. We have dense population. Dense population, this is when an area has got very many people. And then the opposite is what we call sparse population. This is when an area has few people living in it, or having few people living in an area. So that is what we call dense population. And then the last term we have in our workbooks is what we call population density. Population density. Population density is defined as the total number of people living in an area per square kilometers. That is the number of people who are living in an area per square kilometers. For example, we can always be having a question. Like you have a question there in your workbook, which is telling us you want to calculate that question together and you get its answer. A question can say any other place can be asked to you. In the question, they have given us the place that is the, they have not mentioned the place, but they can say a place, maybe place X. Place X has maybe 800,000 people. That is the question now. It's different from the one we are having in the books. So I'm going to use this, then we shall be able to use that knowledge for us to understand the one which is in our books. I'm saying place X has 800,000 people, and it is having with the place X has 800 people with maybe we can have 200 square kilometers, maybe 200 kilometers, which means this area is 200 square kilometers, and it has got, the people, that is 800,000 people. Now, what are we going to do when we are calculating the population distribution? Population distribution, we can simply write it as PD, population distribution, is equal to the total number of people. This is the formula, the total number of people who are living in that area divided by the area covered. When we understand this formula, it means that us getting the answer will become very simple. Now we shall go back to the question, what is the number of people? The total number of people is 800,000 people. Keep your equal signs in line to be neat. 800,000 out of the area covered. We are saying its area is 200 square kilometers. So we are dividing this by 200. Remember, this we are having people up. We are having people divided by the area, which is in square kilometers. These are now going to be our units that we are going to put when we get the answer after us calculating. Now we are going to cancel this. This one goes by this. We have 2 enters into 2 ones, 2 enters into 8, 4, and we shall copy the remaining zeros which are not cut. So our answer will be 4. There is a 0, a 0, a 0. What are these? People per square kilometers. So we have our units. Don't forget to put the units, because if you do not put the units, then you will not be given a tick. Therefore, the population distribution of place X is 4,000 people per square kilometers. That is what we mean by this bar, per square kilometers. Now, when we come to our question, which is in our book, I want now us to come back to this such that you can now understand well, and if any other question comes, you can also be able to answer it. Still in our books, we are having calculate the population density of population, that is 840 840. Of course, these are people now. What you need to note is that when you hear of population, calculate the population density of a population. Population, we have said, it refers to the total number of people, meaning it's asking for you to calculate the population density of the number of people, which will be given, and in this matter, it's given as 840,000, and the area is 20 square kilometers. So we are going to have the same formula: population distribution equals, population density equals the total number of people, total number of people. Don't forget, this total number of people, we are dividing it by the area that these people occupy. And according to the question, the area covered is 20. So we shall go now. Remember, I've said keep your equal signs in line to be a neat child. So total number of people given in the question, we come to our workbooks. The question says calculate the population density of a population 840,000 people. So 840,000, that is now the number of people. We are dividing it by the area covered. What is the area covered in our books? The area is 20 kilometers square. So we are having 20 square kilometers. Remember, this will give us 2 things. The first one up is people. We are dividing it by the square kilometers. That is now the area. So that's what gives us the units as people per square kilometer. So we shall go to our mathematics and we calculate, we divide this. This 0 goes with this. We are remaining with 2 enters into 2 1s. 2 enters into 8 is 4. And 2 enters into 4 twice. Then we are remaining with the zeros which are not cut. There is this one, there is this, there is this. So we extract that figure down here. We are maintaining our equal signs in line to be neat. So we are having 4, there is 2, there is 0, 0, 0. So this is now our answer. The units are people per square kilometers. That is our final answer. Therefore, the population density of this area is 42,000 people per square kilometers. That is how simple we can calculate the population density. And that is how the answer was got for that page. We are going to page 77. Page 77 is giving us what we call population growth. Population growth as another term, which is that one, remember, was under population density. Now we are continuing to what we call population growth. I hope you have understood population density very well and how it can be calculated. So we are going to population growth as another term. Population growth. So when we talk of population growth, let's make this as a heading because we want to talk more about it a little. Population growth, we are simply looking at the increase in the number of people. Growth means it is increasing. And in this one, we are looking at the gradual increase. The number goes slowly. It's not like the other time that we said rapid increase or sudden increase. That one was for population explosion. From nowhere, the number explodes, it shoots high. Here we are saying this is the gradual increase in the number of people who are in that area or who are in an area. So we are saying population growth is the gradual increase of people in an area. Now, we are going to look at what makes the number of people in an area to keep increasing, to grow slowly, till at the end of it all, we shall say the number of people has become too high. It has now gone to what we call dense population. It has resulted into overpopulation. So we are going to look at which factors lead to population growth. We can simply write our heading saying factors of population growth. Factors of population growth. Or we can say factors that lead to population growth. I don't want you to get a little lost. We are meaning the same things. So let's discuss as primary for children. What do you think will make the number of people to increase in an area? In our workbook, the first answer is talked about improved. Let me talk about it in general. Improved social services in an area. Now, when I talk of improved social services, I have covered a lot of answers. But in our workbooks, we are having these answers divided. So we are trying to cover very many due to time factor. But when you're answering, you can bring them as independent answers. Now, which social services are we meaning here? We mean social services like education, social services like health, social services like security, social services like transport, social services like communication, social services like banking, and very many others. So when an area has got these improved social services, very many people will be attracted to go and stay in that area, thereby resulting into the increase in the number of people that we are calling population growth. Then the second factor we have is maybe the presence of fertile soils in an area. Presence of fertile soils in an area. Presence of fertile soil in an area. Which means this will attract people. And this one is mainly common in the villages, whereby you'll find that an area in a village can be having good fertile soil that supports crop growing. So you'll find that very many people will be will be moving to cultivate in that area. This gives us a reason as to why we shall be able to say that on the slopes of Mountain Elgon, that is in eastern Uganda, around Mbale districts, you'll find that those slopes have got very many people living in them. Why? Because they have fertile soils. And because of the soil fertility, people are attracted to go and cultivate in those areas. And remember, this will bring what we call land fragmentation. Land fragmentation. I want to bring this now before we go any further. Let me have it here. This will lead to what we call land fragmentation. Now, land fragmentation, we are now looking at dividing a piece of land into smaller plots. For example, if an area was having a very large garden, this was a plot of land which was owned by an individual. I believe we are all seeing this. And you will find that because of people increasing in an area, as more people come, they will keep on dividing this land. Another person has come, they have shared. Another person has come, now you also you share with the one who has come. Even this one is shared. As people keep on coming, they keep on dividing this land into smaller plots, such that at the end of it all, each one is having a small plot that he or she owns. That is what we call land fragmentation. So in definition, we are simply going to say land fragmentation is the division, from the word divide, division of land into smaller plots. As we have seen the smaller plots, division of land into smaller plots. We have seen a big piece of land, how it was divided, how it was shared because of people increasing in an area. The other large piece of land was now subdivided and each one owned a very small plot. So that is how we define land fragmentation, the division of land into smaller plots. As simple as that. Then the other one is, the other factor that leads to, or that makes people to increase in an area, is what we call high fertility rate in women. High fertility rates. This is in women. So you'll find that this is when women become pregnant easily. That is how we can simply understand this in our primary 4 class. You find that women can become pregnant very easily, meaning they have a high fertility rate, and that will bring what we call that will increase on the number of people in an area. The other factor we have is we have what we call early marriages. Early marriages. Which means we are looking at small or younger children beginning to produce their children. So you'll find that a child has a child. That is very bad. So you'll find as these children who are to be at school are now beginning also to produce other children, then the number is going to increase in that area. So early marriages can also cause population growth. Then another factor is what we term as polygamy. We call it polygamy. Now, polygamy, we are looking at someone marrying more than one partner. For example, it's common that you find a man has more than one wife. You'll find this one is very common. Someone is having more than one wife, and you'll find that because of one person having more than one wife, as this wife is producing, is also producing with another wife, maybe there is another third one, so you will find that that will make the person to have very many children in that area. And of course, these children will also be counted as people, and they will lead to the increase in the number of people in an area. Then the other factor is about immigration. Immigration simply means the coming of people to stay in a country, that is for settlement. So you'll find that sometimes people can come from their own countries and they come and stay in that country. So that will also increase on the number of people. Then the presence of security in an area, that is what we call political stability. If you are failing to understand that political stability, it simply means security. There is security in an area. So you will find that very many people will pour in that area. Remember, sometimes these people are running from their areas and they are looking for areas which are safe for them to settle. So when they find there is peace in a given area, they can settle in that area. And then we have also talked about the good climate, which is in an area. Now we are going to look at how do we control population growth? How do we prevent the number of people from growing too high? Because remember, when we are looking at overpopulation, we say this is now when the number of people is too high compared to the resources which are available. Which means that when these people when the number keeps on growing, these people will become too many, therefore the resources will not be enough. So I think we should have looked at the dangers of overpopulation, population growth. Let us look at dangers of population growth before we look at how to overcome population growth. Dangers of population growth. Now this may be missing in your book, but what you will do is to get a pen and then you add this information, because it's also very good to us. Dangers of population growth, which means due to the increase in the number of people, what happens? The first problem is it will bring lack of jobs. Lack of jobs in an area, which means that many people will be now starting to compete, struggling to get jobs. Then, due to very many people, it will lead to land fragmentation, as we have already defined it. Fragmentation. That is how we pronounce it. Land fragmentation. I have said division of land into smaller plots. So because of the people increasing, land is no longer enough. What happens? They are going now to share the little into other smaller plots. And then the other problem is this will lead to insecurity, of course, as these people become too many. Remember, some of these people come to those areas, maybe others, maybe they ran away from their home areas after committing some crimes. Now they come and they pour in an area and the number goes high. So it will lead to what we call high crime rates. The number at which people will be, the rate at which people will be committing these crimes will be high. So it will lead to high crime rates. And then we shall be able to say resources will not be enough. Resources will not be enough. If I may to say, for example, food. And because of this not being enough, you will find that the prices of these commodities, the prices of these items will go high. That's why you'll find that people who live in towns buy things expensively, because people are very many in towns due to these other factors that we have given and even others that we have not put. So those are the dangers that will come as a result of having very many people living in that or in an area. That is what we call overpopulation, which will be brought by population growth. So we are going to share solutions to problems facing, solutions to population growth. In other words, we are now looking at what can be done to prevent the number of people in an area from going high, to prevent population growth. The first solution says by encouraging people to use family planning methods. You find that some people tend to overproduce. You find when the child is still young, the mother gets again pregnant. So you'll find that this will be helped by encouraging or by providing family planning methods to people. We can simply say encouraging people to use family planning methods. That is solution number one, encouraging people to use family planning methods. And then we have discouraging premarital sex, which means we should not encourage people who are not married to have sex, because they may end up making the other pregnant, and it will bring what they call early marriages. So we can as well bring it as discouraging early marriages by discouraging early marriages. Then also, we can discourage polygamy by discouraging polygamy, such that people will be practicing what we call monogamy. That is now having one partner other than having more than one. Like we were saying, you find a man has more than a wife. And when we say more than a wife, we mean can be 2 wives, they can be 3 or even 5. So that is, and even more. That is what we are now trying to discourage, discouraging people from doing that, from polygamy. And then setting laws against immigration, meaning limiting the number of people who are to move into a country. We have on our page 78, we have the natural factors or hazards that can reduce on the number of people. We also call these disasters. So there we are looking at things that will bring, of course, we are looking at to reduce the number of people. It now means people now have to die. Because there is no way you are going to reduce the number of people by people just being alive. So the number of people is going to be reduced through these natural hazards or natural disasters, of which it's not good. That is life going. So we are having other things that come, they become uncontrollable. For example, we look at things like famine. Famine, you find maybe an area has been hit and it lacks food. People don't have what to eat. At the end, people will end up starving and others dying of hunger. Then we have storms. We have things like earthquakes. We have hailstones, volcanic eruption. Remember, when eruption occurs in an area, the lava flows, it destroys people, destroys their property. And of course, when we are now on the side of people, when people are killed by this eruption, of course, the number of people now goes down. But remember, as I said, this will not be good because those are lives going. And then we have landslides, and then also volcanic eruption is repeating twice, so you can cross the one. We have artificial hazards. The other ones are natural disasters. They happen by nature, naturally. Then we also have the artificial ones, which are caused by man, that can also claim people's lives. Of course, people now dying, thereby reducing in number. We look at things like road accidents happening. Of course, those ones are caused by people. They are not natural. You find someone was maybe speeding, maybe one was overloaded, was driving a vehicle in dangerous mechanical conditions, maybe there were potholes on the road, whatever. So these ones are caused by people. Road accidents, fire outbreaks, of course, people like setting up fire in an area and ends up destroying or killing them. And then we have wars in an area. Wars, of course, those ones are done by people, by human beings. So during the war, you find people are exchanging bullets and others are shot dead. Thereby, the number decreases. And then we have water and food poisoning. That is when these things are poisoned. And also we have plane crash. Those are accidents, aircraft accidents, can also lead to the reduction or can also lower the number of people in an area. Of course, like I've said, this will not be good. Page 79 is where we are going to, and we are going to be talking about population distribution as another term. This was under population growth. Now we are going to population distribution. Population distribution. I believe you are getting the differences in these things. We talked about population density, not distribution. The other one was density. Now population distribution. Distribution comes from not distribute, which means people are spread or scattered in an area. So simply we shall say population distribution is a way how people are scattered, is a way how people are scattered. If we can say scattered, we can say how people are spread in different parts of an area. In different parts of an area. So I say, you find some places have got very many people living in them, whereas others have got few people living in them. We shall be looking at factors. What brings that? Maybe the other ones which are having very many people, they have good things like security, they have jobs there, they have things like maybe better education services, they have good banking services, good health care services. And then what happens to the other one which has got a few people? Maybe the area has got poor climatic conditions, there are wars there, the place is not safe, meaning people can be attacked. Then maybe the area has got infertile soil, the soil is not fertile to support crop growing. So all those ones can bring what you call population distribution. Remember, I have said in population distribution, we are looking at two things. We have areas having more people. Those areas are what we call dense population or densely populated areas. So we are looking at population distribution, and we are saying here we have the types of population distribution. We are summarizing them. We have dense population, and dense population means the number of people, or people are many in an area. And we also have sparse population. Sparse population, we say this is when the number of people in an area is low or is less. So in other words, we can simply say here we have few people living in that area. So you will find that when we are looking at the way people are scattered or distributed or spread in an area, like I said, some areas have very many people, some areas have got few people. Now, those areas that have very many people, we call them densely populated areas. And we say there are factors that can make this. Which factors are these? That's when we say that an area has got fertile soils, an area has got better security, an area has got social services, like health services, and an area has got maybe jobs found there, and other good things that can attract people. Then when we come to look at an area which is having a few people, that is what we call a sparsely populated area. Which things can bring that? Those people are few there because the climate is poor, number one. Maybe the soil is infertile, cannot support crop growing. Maybe the area has got insecurity, meaning there is no security in that area. People are being killed, so people will have run away from that area. And then lack of jobs in that area. You will find that people leave that area going now to those areas that have got jobs. So those are among other things that can bring what we call a sparse population. Of course, this makes us to remember what we termed as rural-urban migration. You'll find people moving from villages to towns for settlement, and those villages where they live become sparsely populated areas, whereas the towns where they move to become densely populated areas. We are now going to look at on page 80. We are having factors that influence distribution. Here we are generalizing whether factors bringing dense population or those bringing sparse population. The first factor says climate. And here how? We are saying an area which has got good climate, of course that is the area which receives a lot of rainfall, will be having a dense population. Whereas an area which has got poor climate, automatically people will be what? Few in that area. Then we have rainfall, relief, that is altitude. You'll find that areas which are on a lower altitude, those ones are hotter. Then those ones which are on a higher altitude are cooler. And of course, those areas on a higher altitude will be having very many people because of the cool climate, because of the cool temperatures, compared to the ones which are not. Then we have what we call drainage. Drainage, we are looking at the underground water system. And here we look at water bodies mainly. So we shall be able to note that those areas that have got, or which are near water bodies, they tend to be having very many people. Why? When we look at the shores of lakes like Victoria, you'll find that there are very many people living on Lake Victoria shores. Why? Because those people are there to carry out fishing from the lake. Those people are there. Remember, the shores of the lake have got fertile soils for crop growing. So it means that these areas are highly populated. And then we have two things. We have death rates and birth rates. Death rates, we are looking at the rate at which children are being produced. And then the death rates, we are looking at the rate at which people die. Now there we are looking at people of all ages, because with producing, we are only looking at the babies being born. A mother cannot produce an old person. No, it is children. So when it comes to birth rates, we are looking at the rate at which new babies are being born in an area. And then the death rates, we are looking at the way, or the rates at which people die. So if the number of birth rates is high, meaning that the mothers are producing children, it will make the area to become densely populated. Why? Because the children that will be produced will also become members and will be counted, and they will raise the number. Then we look at the other side. When an area has got very many death rates, the rate at which people die the rate is too high. Tomorrow again, they are saying, today this one has died, tomorrow the other one has died. So people are dying frequently. Of course, we shall be able to tell that such area will be having few people now remaining there. That will call what we call sparse population. Then we have the nature of the soil, the nature of the vegetation. Areas with thick vegetation, of course, those ones influence rain formation. There are very many people, compared to areas which are having maybe scarce or scattered vegetation. And then we are having now the artificial factors that influence vegetation, population distribution. The other ones have been the natural ones. We now have artificial factors. We have factors like political instability, that is, political stability, that's what we call security. Factors like availability of jobs. We have factors like good transport and communication network. Then we have immigration, good hospitals, schools in an area. That one is under social services. When such things are there, of course, these ones will lead to this. Then we shall also have the other ones that influence it on the negative side. We shall be looking at things like insecurity in an area. And then we shall be able to have things like lack of jobs in an area. Those ones are natural, they are the artificial factors that can bring sparse population in an area. We are having page 81, areas with high population distribution, meaning areas which are densely populated. We have areas like plateau areas. We have highland areas, like I was giving you the slopes of Mountain Elgon having fertile soil for crop growing. So highland areas like mountain areas have got very many people there. And then areas around mountain slopes, we already talked about this. We have urban areas. Of course, urban areas, we are looking at town areas. And why there are very many people, we say those areas tend to have job opportunities. Those areas tend to have good security. People are there to enjoy life. Remember, there are some people who move from villages to towns to just enjoy life. So, that is town life. And then some areas have got fertile soils. Those are the ones that bring that. We are going to problems that people face as they live in those areas, which we have already said. We said people, when they meet in those areas, there will be now competition for jobs, meaning jobs will not be enough. They will become too many, therefore easy spread of diseases can be there. These people can be also become, they can begin criminal acts. That's what they term as high crime rates. And then the prices of goods in that area will go high because of the high demand by those people. Let us go to look at areas with low population or sparse population. That's on page 81. Areas which have got sparse population We look at areas which are semi-desert areas or desert areas. Unfortunately for us in Uganda, we don't have a desert, but we have a semi-desert area that is in the northeastern part of Uganda, around Karamoja sub-region. So such areas which are semi-desert are not good. Therefore, people are always very few there. And then we have areas which are affected by natural disasters. For example, floods, landslides. Such areas will have people because people will run away to secure areas. And then we have areas which have been affected by wars, war-torn areas. You find that as people begin, as a war exists in an area, very many people will be running to areas which are safe. Of course, someone cannot sit and wait for death. People will have to run away. They will go and become refugees in those other areas. And as they run away, they leave their homelands to be having few people. That is what we call sparse population. And then we have swampy areas. Swampy areas, remember, they are not good for human settlement due to the cold weather, due to the infestation of vectors that can spread diseases. And then also floods can occur there. So people are few there. In fact, the few people who go and live in the swamps are always also evicted. They are chased away by the National Environment Management Authority, that is NEMA, a national body in Uganda responsible for the protection and conservation of such areas. Those are wetlands. And then we have mountains with steep slopes. Also have got few people who live in them. We go to page 982. It gives us reasons why desert areas are sparsely populated. Why are semi-desert areas sparsely populated rather? The first one, we are saying they have poor soils. The soil there is infertile. And what makes the soil infertile there is that these areas do not receive a lot of or enough rainfall. Remember, rain can help the soil to become fertile. So because of no rain received, these areas have infertile soils and they are not now good for human settlement, and people are few there. And then they always experience long dry seasons. And you'll find that as this area is too hot like that, of course, very many people cannot bear the situation. So they will run away and look for areas which are having some good, cool climate. And as a result, they will be leaving that area sparsely populated. I believe we are getting the difference between dense population and sparse population. I mean, as in distribution. And then we have reasons as to why swamps are not good. I've already talked of floods. I've talked of places, they are breeding places for disease vectors. And then also some aquatic animals are there together with the cold weather, the cool temperatures. You find that in the morning or in the evening, you find these places are ever too cold for people to live in. So some people will not be able to bear living in such climatic, conditions. So for now, we are going to move to what we call population census, which is another term which is connected to population census. Population So to add on population distribution, we have population census, whereby census simply means counting of people in an area. The counting of people. Census is the counting of people in an area. Now, when it comes to population census, therefore, is the official, we call it the official, or sometimes we can say is the general counting of people. Counting of people in an area. And this can be like in a country. So we are saying population census simply means the counting of people in an area. But population census is now the official. I want you to be very careful with this word, that's why we have put it there. The official counting of people in an area. This is carried out by the body that we call the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, UBOS, as we have it written on our page 82. That is the body that is in charge population census. We need to know that population census is carried out, like for us in Uganda, it's conducted after every 10 years. You'll find that this exercise is very expensive. Find you will need a lot of funds, a lot of money to facilitate it. So you'll find that sometimes it's conducted after 10 years, after some time, such that the government will be able to get more money within that period to facilitate or to make the program run effectively. Now we are going to look at reasons as to why population census is conducted. Why conduct population census? So we are having the definition, the official counting of people. Why are people counted in that area? Now the first answer we are going to get here is, we count people like just you in class, and the teacher says, stand up and we want to count boys. What does the teacher want? So you need to know that the teacher wants to know the total number of people, of children. Now for this case, we shall say the reason number one is to know, of which the word know is this one which I have written on the board. To know the number of people in a country. To know the total number of people in a country. That is the first thing we need to note. Why count? To know the number. Before you think of any other reason, to know the number. When you begin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, what do you want? I want to get the number of people. That's why you count. Then number two, after getting to know the number, it makes the government easier to plan for those people. To plan for the people. And then we also need to note that the government also conducts population census to know the number of people in terms of the agenda. When we were beginning the lesson, we said that one is what we call population structure. To know the population structure. We say this is the number of people living in an area according to their sex or according to their gender, males, females. We talked about it at the beginning of this lesson. I believe by now this is something which is very simple. This one on your book, number 3 is number 1 already, which says to know the population. That one is already talked in number 1. That is the number of people living in an area or country, so you can cross it there. And then we also conduct population census to know the rates at which new babies are born. We call it birth rates. To know the birth rates. Also we say, we also have the rate at which people die. We call that death rates. To know the death rates. So all these reasons make us understand why the government conducts the population census. And also to understand the population curve, the population growth, how people increase in an area. Now, we have people in that exercise of population census. We have those people on page 82. The terms used to refer to those people, we call them the enumerators. Enumerators. Now, if a question is asking you, who is an enumerator? If it is one, here you will say, this is a person who counts others during a population census. If we are answering in a plural form, enumerators are people. we can say these are people who count others. Who count others during a population census. People who count others during a population census, which means the government trains these people on what they are supposed to do, on what kind of data or information they are supposed to get from the people, and they will be good to go. And when that time comes, they will, that day that call a census day, these people will be able to do that. And then we also have what we call a census night. A census night is a night before the day a census is conducted. Then of course we have the term demography, which we already said this means the study of population changes. Now let's look at the information collected. Information, we can also call this data collected by these enumerators, by these people who count others. When they come to our homes, which information do they want from us? We are having the first one says the age of people. Age of people. The other one is the sex of people. Of course, now the sex of people, they get it in order to determine the population structure. I have said the sex of people means either males or females. Do not get confused in these ones. And then the marital status, we have other things like the occupation of people. Occupation, that is the work people do. Occupation of people. The education levels of people. Education levels, you add these which are missing in your books. And then we have the living standards of people. The living standards. That's why they will be asking you, how many times do you eat in a day? How many meals do you have in a day? They want to determine the level of poverty in the country. That is what they call the living standards of people. And then also they want to get the number of people per family, and even other things like the animals you rear, like that. So all those things will be extracted or will be got by these enumerators during that population census exercise. We are going to look at problems that these people face, problems that are faced by these enumerators in this exercise. Problem number one, you'll find that these people can be affected by bad weather. You find maybe as they are moving, of course, they move from one house to another, household to household, from one room to another. So you'll find that as they are moving like that, the weather can be bad. Maybe it's too hot, or it becomes rainy, it begins to rain, and they will be struggling to move in the rain. So that is a problem, that is bad weather. And then we also have some areas are not easy to be accessed. We have some hard to reach areas, like those village areas. You find it becomes a problem. And then we have other problems like poor facilitation. Sometimes these people are not all that well facilitated. They're not given enough payment for the job that they do. And then we also have some people that they talk to and they give wrong information to them. That also becomes a problem. And some people do not want even to talk to them. They are very arrogant. So that is arrogance of some people. Also negative attitude towards the people. I mean, from the people towards them, it becomes another problem that these people will face. Remember, they are getting the information that will benefit the entire country. So if they are given wrong information, or if they are chased, because some of them get chased by some people who are very arrogant, who are not good, which is very bad. So as a result, you will find that that person will make these enumerators not to get the exact information as required by the government. That will become a problem. And for now, we end there our lesson, and I thank you so much for being part of this lesson. We shall meet again another time. Keep safe.